Hello and welcome to Galactic Wisdom. Hey Laura, how are you today?
Hi, how are you? Hi, everybody.
Good to have you all with us. Today we're going to look at the subject of judging people and sometimes misjudging people. And we're going to look at the practice of judging people. And we're going to examine questions like, how reliable are the judgments that human beings make? What compels us to judge others? What's the difference between justice and revenge? Do humans typically consider people to be innocent until proven guilty? And should we be judging people at all? Now, I'm going to start off by imagining this situation where we have visitors to this planet. We have some kind of alien craft comes from thousands of light years away to visit this beautiful, life-rich planet. And they come down and they look below at what is going on the planet's surface below, and they see what humans are doing. And I'm going to ask you this question, Laura. What do you think the impression of these beings would be when they look down and see humanity and this planet? What do you think their impressions would be, and what do you think their reactions would be?
Well, first reaction, the elders would go, "Stop! Wait a second. I don't think we're going down there." But I have to agree with what Bill has said earlier. Yeah, it depends on where maybe they might go. There are areas on our planet that are just absolutely beautiful. The people are beautiful. So really that does depend, but they're going to take a good look, and they're going to have access to everything, our media, our movies. They're going to judge us in a sense on all of that. Okay. They actually are going to look at us and go, real quick. They're not, I would think, in my mind, I really do believe that they're not as judgmental as humans are. Okay. Yeah. They will take in the information, but they're not going to say, okay, that person, those humans down there, they're all violent. No, I think they're going to sit back first and definitely look around, question it, decide who is, who isn't, and then based on more evidence, they'll go forward with that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, because there's two stages to judging. One is a personal judgment that you make based on the available evidence. And we all do that. We can't help but do that. Mm-hmm. Every person we talk to, we judge in some way. That's an internal thing. And it's something we can't avoid, and it's beneficial because we do judge people as a safety mechanism. We can judge people that might be dangerous to us, and we keep our distance from them. We judge people who might be able to be our friends. We also judge people maybe for selfish reasons. What can they do for me? But we do this internal judging. That's the first stage. But then there's this second stage that follows from that. And that is acting upon our judgments.
Right.
That is convicting people, or exonerating people, or us finding people guilty or innocent, us deciding to attack a person, us deciding to move away from a person. We have the second stage, which is acting upon those judgments. And when we look at our alien friends, and you and I, Laura, we communicate with them. We have alien friends. We talk to them, and we see how they act upon their judgments. We don't see them attacking.
No.
We don't see them, whether or not they think we're guilty of anything, they don't sentence us in any way. Even when we attack them, even when we shoot down their craft, they are at a higher level of morality and spirituality. And if somebody does something bad to them, they don't respond by convicting us. They have been here for tens of thousands of years, probably hundreds of thousands of years, maybe millions of years, and they could have wiped us out easily if they wanted to. And we know that we are hurting some of these species, and yet they don't wipe us out.
No.
They have they're pacifists.
Good. Yes.
Good yeah. Word. Do you see any of those behaviors that I've just described in your interactions with the beings we're talking about?
Just as, I'm going to go right back to what you said about if we shoot their craft down, they don't judge us. They don't go, we're going to war with you now, planet. All humans. They don't judge us. That is, if there is no facts put out here on this planet, everybody now is really waking up to the fact that we are not alone. And if they've not sat back and truly watched over the 40 years of all of this happening, people are giving out more information. People are having more and more experiences, to not stop and think, wow, they haven't hurt us. They haven't attacked us. They haven't come down on our planet. So they're very passive. They're very, very kind. They take you as you are, no matter what you are. And that is a big lesson humans need to learn today. They really
yeah. Do you think it would be fair to deduce that they have judged us to be not suitable as a society, as a species, to be invited openly with welcome arms into their extragalactic or interstellar communities?
They know for a fact that we are waking up. They know this, and they're there when we reach out, when we finally realize it and we're reaching out. That's just us saying, you can come forward to us, and then they'll do it. Once they come forward, it's still up to you to continue meeting them. That's my perception. That's how it's happening to me.
So to individuals who are friendly and ascended, they're happy to be friends with us, but they're not friends with openly with the whole of our societies. And if they were to reveal themselves to us and we were to go into their communities, it would be my prediction that we would bring with us into their communities the same levels of selfishness, judgment, and sentencing of them. Yeah. We would be exploiting them. We would be trying to convert them to our belief systems. We'd go in there with aggression, and it would not be, in my judgment, in my guess, it would not be a happy environment with us living happily with them. People like you and me, yes, would be able to do that, and we do.
Yeah.
But a lot of people on this planet, I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, if you're not ready, if you're not accepting, that's one thing. You're not even opening up. Some people won't. I'm really beginning to believe this. And it's so sad. It's sad that they're not opening up or something stopping them. I don't know if it's the way they were brought up, if it's all society, if it's their religion. I'm not sure what it is that's stopping them from really expanding themselves at a higher consciousness and be able to open up the fact that we just can't be it on the planet. We just can't be it. And it's really sad for me just to think about that. But they're not going to, in my opinion, approach, befriend, because of the hostility that us humans are so capable of. I mean, and that's one of the reasons. The other thing is, I believe in this thing called veil, this veil. So as I've waken up, more and more, this veil has gotten so thin that it's like a curtain, and it's just moving to the side. And if that barrier, that block is there, they're not going to see them. Even if they were standing right there in front of them, they're totally shut down. And that's just something that I'm beginning to really see happening. And it's happened for me because I shut down a lot for a long time. I refused because I was told you're wrong, you're stupid, you're crazy, you're da 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 da. So shutting it down, you may not be able to see. So that's another reason why I think and believe that they would not approach them, all on top, again, being hostile. Because us humans, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can go to church on Sunday and say, yes, yes, thank you, praise, right. And then right out the door, they are cussing somebody else. So that's what I think would approach that type of human.
Yeah. When aliens look down at our planet and they see what we're doing to each other, when they see all the wars, something like 32 wars on this planet right now, people killing, blowing up. It's like, who can blow each other up and kill each other the best? And the people that are better able to do that, they're the winners. It's the same on social media in a non-physical way. It's more sort of a psychological way where, you can't read any social media post that's out there without having some people, for no reason at all, start launching into negativity. And aliens have access to that. We know that some alien species watch some of our TV.
Yes, they do. And I find that so amazing. I find that amazing, and it's their way of helping you, or for me in my case, understand, relate, be able to communicate. It's easier that way for me. So they are coming to me in a way that I'm willing, or I'm able to understand who they are. Yeah.
Do you want to just let us know the names of the two Ebons that we're in communication with and the relevance of their names?
Jean-Luc Picard. That is the Eben that introduced himself to me. He's always with me. And I don't want to say counterpart, but she is also helping with the communication, and her name is Deanna of Star Trek, and he named her. I know that sounds insane, but that's what he decided. He said, you can call me that, because he liked Star Trek and he really liked Jean-Luc Picard. But his association is that he's a captain too. And he really thought, oh, you can call me that. You can relate to that.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened.
Because they're telepathic. They don't have human names, but in our interactions with us, they do use human names. And so they chose two names from a Star Trek show that they like. And it's interesting, I like Star Trek, and I'm watching through now the original series, and I'm also very knowledgeable and a fan of the Next Generation. And you can see an evolution of morality between those two shows. They're both amazing shows for their times. But the original series, if you watched them, the way that they judge any alien beings that they encounter, it's a very low level way of judging others. Mm-hmm. If there's any beings out there, they're out there to seek out new life. And when they find it, if that new life responds to their presence in a hostile way, then they'll try and wipe it out. Mm-hmm. And that was the original series. And they do that time after time after time, where they've finally figured out how to communicate with a being, but because it's killed one of them, they destroy it. In the Next Generation, they're very, very evolved in relation to that. Even if there's a species that's trying to wipe out every other species in the universe, like the Borg, if they have an opportunity to communicate with them and try and end the conflict in a peaceful way, they will. That's an evolution of morality. It's an evolution of judgment. Now, this show today is about humans judging each other and about judging aliens. And I'm going to give people a few facts here. In the US, I discovered that there is some kind of national registry of people who have been convicted for a crime and then later found to not be guilty of that crime, to be innocent of that crime. And when that happens, these people are exonerated. And in the US, in this registry, there are at least the time when this article was written, there were 3,582 exonerations mentioned in the National Registry. And if you add up the amount of time that these innocent people served in prison, it adds up to nearly 32,000 years.
Whew.
So
Wow.
this is clear evidence right there that human beings, even with the formal process of going to court and having people give their evidence, there is still, we don't have a perfect system. And a lot of those people that were exonerated after they were executed.
Yeah, that's...
So imagine being put in prison for something you didn't do, and then being executed for something you didn't do. Now, I've got one or two other facts here I'm going to share here. A University of Michigan law professor, Samuel Gross, led a team of experts in the law and statistics, and they estimated that they tried to estimate the likely number of unjust convictions. And I don't have all of the facts here, but they did determine that very likely at least 4% of people on death row are likely to be innocent. At least 4%. When people are convicted of something really serious, there is so much emotion involved. There is so much intent to get revenge that there are huge pressures on people to convict those people. And at least 4% of the people on death row are likely to be innocent. That's at least. Newly available DNA evidence has allowed the exoneration and release of more than 20 death row inmates in the US alone since 1992. But that DNA evidence, that's just a fraction of the cases that are out there. At least 190 people who were sentenced to death have been exonerated and released. These are just the ones that we've found out about. These are the ones where there's somebody out there with enough money, with enough push, with enough motivation to try to get people off.
Right.
We are not very good at judging others. There is a big margin of error associated with that, whereby it's thought that we have at the end of 2020, 20 death row prisoners who were executed were probably not guilty. And we call that sort of execution, that wrongful execution, judicial murder. What are your thoughts on what I'm talking about here, Laura?
Well, I can tell you, as a bailiff in the circuit court I ran, I had a lot of high profile cases, murder, serial killers, rapes, you name it, high profile, before it went to the next level if it was going to go there from appeal. Jury trials were very tough. If anybody's ever sat in a courtroom, and if they actually are allowed to stay in the courtroom, that's key there, because sometimes some jury trials do not allow anybody in that courtroom. But what happens is when the jury is dismissed to go into the quarters, they may be discussing evidence, okay? Whether or not to continue with that evidence for the jury to make a decision on whether that person's guilty or not. It has to be submissible. Something has to have happened for it not to be submitted. You know, it's a thin piece of ice. I'm going to say that. From my observing, hearing certain cases, knowing certain circumstances, because something wasn't done right, the evidence cannot be placed in the courtroom in front of the jury. So guess what? That evidence could have freed that person, but because it wasn't there, judgment was made on
Right.
what they had to judge them based on what was submitted. Okay. So there's that, our symbol of justice, the lady, she's blind. She's got a blindfold on. Her scales are tipped. Her clothes are ripped. There's really no, there's not, it's only but so fair. It can only go so far. It's just the way our system is. And I don't know if there's any other way other than 100% honesty for every person who's involved in a case to legitimately do their job correctly, to legitimately stand up and go, oh, just because he may have priors doesn't mean he may have done that. Passing judgment because he's a previous criminal from something else. Okay. Or they've never done anything before, but the circumstances keep pointing in that direction, but they are 100% innocent. Those people who are doing their jobs need to be very precise when they do their jobs. And I have to give it to everybody who's involved in these cases. They are trying. They really are. But when the cases are mounting up, and then there's less and less revenue to support the system, it's going to fall apart at some point.
Yeah. I can certainly tell you that in my mind, if even one person is convicted, is found guilty of a crime that they didn't commit, then we need to change. We need to change something, because that even one person out of a million, that's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. And whether that, if that means we have to increase the burden of proof in order to find somebody as being guilty, then so be it. That's what we need to do. I'm going to talk about the burden of proof a little bit. The burden of proof is a legal standard that requires party to provide evidence to demonstrate that a claim is valid. There's 3 different levels of burden of proof that are in different types of trial. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know all the details, but the 3 levels of burden of proof are beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the highest level of proof that there is in the legal system. And that means that somebody is only found guilty if it appears that they're guilty beyond reasonable doubt. But I tell you, I teach the difference between logical and reasonable is often wrong. Reasonable has been wrong for hundreds of thousands of years on this planet for many of the judgments we have made. Reasonable, beyond reasonable doubt, is not good enough, in my opinion. Then the second level of burden of proof is a preponderance of the evidence, which means that it's more likely true than not. It's more likely true than not. That, I think, that's the lowest level of proof. Okay. Basically, that's just over 50%. If it seems a little bit more likely that they're guilty than not, then they're guilty.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've stormed out of a courtroom as a deputy sheriff, and judge at the time my name was Cartwright. Cartwright, get in my chambers. I need to explain to you why that went this way. You need to understand why this is happening. This is the only way that you're going to ever understand this. You cannot get emotional and involved. You have to keep your feelings out of it. And in a sense, I was making a judgment based on what was going on in the courtroom. Okay.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to do that. I had to remain neutral the whole time, but I got emotional. There were certain cases that really got to me, and I got involved emotionally. I didn't let it be known, but the judge knew because we worked together. Yeah.
So you feel that when you were working as a bailiff in the courts, did you ever see anybody that you felt there wasn't enough evidence, but they were found guilty of something?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to be able to name this person. This person's famous, but absolutely, but I will not.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very stern about that. What they brought up was just BS. And what was done to the other party, BS.
Because that's a big part of this, isn't it? That
Yes.
we base our judgments on evidence,
Mm-hmm.
and the judgments are only as reliable as the evidence is, and as complete as the evidence is. And there's a lot of people out there who are perfectly happy to be dishonest about their relaying of evidence in a court, and that means that the judgments are only as reliable as the honesty of the people giving evidence. We should be judging them too, but we're not. It's like
Right.
it's a crazy mess of mistakes that we make whenever we judge people. I'm going to talk briefly about when I was called up for jury duty, which was, a big imposition on me. I understand that in this country there is a right that we have to be judged by our peers, and that's all very well. But what about the right of people who are trying to earn a living, not to have their lives upturned by being forced to go in and judge in a way that we don't have the legal expertise to do it, and it's all a matter of the people with the legal expertise trying to guide us in certain directions. And it's like, well, just do it yourself. You know what you're talking about. But anyway, I was there. I got selected to be on the, I don't know what it's called, a panel, and to be asked questions to see if I was going to be on the jury.
To be picked for a jury.
And they were asking us all questions, and they were asking me questions, and then the judge said, "Is there anybody who feels at this moment that they're not able to carry out their duty in this manner?" And I put up my hand, and they said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Because the philosophy of finding people guilty based on the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, I'm not comfortable with that, because beyond a reasonable doubt is not proving something."
Right away, both attorneys said, "Scratch that one." I know.
Well,
it's called a voir dire, Parsa. You went through a voir dire.
They tried to explain it to me. And I said, "Yeah, but listen, I'm a space scientist, and when I prove something, it's because I know it's true. I'm not prepared to lower my standards."
Right.
Let's put somebody in a rocket and launch them up to space, and we don't know that the rocket's not going to explode, but we don't know that we've put the right amount of hydrogen compared to oxygen in. Right. We're reasonably sure. Let's do it anyway and see what happens.
Right.
Okay. That's not how science works. That's not how proving things works.
I tell you, when you go through that process, I used to, and I didn't like it, but a deputy before court has an understanding of who they're dealing with as far as court case goes. If they were already incarcerated, they have a background of what this person has done. But the people who are going through the voir dire process, who are getting selected to be jurors for that case, they have no concept. Okay. And they also don't get that person's address, full name, and all where they work. But guess what? That person does. The person who's being held account for trial. They have the right to know who the people are accusing them. They have the right to know their information. And it's right there in black and white. It tells your full name, has an address, it has occupation. Now, whether or not that has changed, I'm not sure, because I have not been in courts since 2007, I believe it is. So that could have changed. But at the time when I was doing it, there was a list of names of all the jurors, potential jurors, and they would come up, get asked a series of questions, both parties, the defendant, and they would get together and they would check off whether or not they want them. And that person who's being judged, who's getting ready to face court, gets to see all that. Do you like that, or do you agree? And what they're looking for is somebody to convict. They're looking for somebody who believes in the justice system, who will convict, has no problem. Let me say it like that, okay? Let me re-say this. They're looking for jurors who don't have a problem of committing somebody to jail if they are and can see evidence that they're guilty. If somebody is waving back and forth, they don't want that person as a juror. They don't want me as a juror either, because I've served in law enforcement.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want me to be there, because I can go one way or another. I have no too much that. In other words, a defendant's lawyer might say, I can't have somebody who's already been through law. I can't have them there. They're going to immediately make this person guilty. My job is to see that this person is innocent. I don't want that person on the jury.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. So yeah,
Yeah.
you did good. You got out of it.
So yeah, they decided to let me go. I wasted a couple of days away from my place of work, but I did get to leave. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of humans and how good we are at judging. It's only recently in our history that because human beings have been around somewhere between 300 and 400,000 years as the species we are right now. And during that time, during almost all of that time, apart from the last little sort of smidgen, thin little layer of time, just the last few hundred years, human beings have made judgments, yes, about each other, but also about reality. We have judged the earth to be flat. Mm-hmm. That was believed, that was accepted as being true. It was accepted as being true that the earth was at the center of the universe, that the stars and the planets were attached to giant rotating crystal domes. That was one popular belief hundreds of years ago. People throughout history have, in the absence of understanding and having access to seeing microscopic things like bacteria, fungi, viruses, in the absence of that ability, people, in order to try and comprehend diseases and the causes of disease, people throughout our history have accepted as being true that disease is caused by dark magic, by witchcraft, by demons, evil spirits. Yeah. According to historical records, an estimated 40,000 to 60,000 people were executed during the witch trials across Europe and British America, with around 100,000 people tried for witchcraft in total. So 100,000 people were tried for witchcraft, and an estimated 40 to 60,000 people were actually executed for being witches. And that was between 1400 and 1775. Can you imagine that, having somebody who doesn't like you? Maybe you had an argument with somebody and they didn't like that argument had happened, and so they accused you of being a witch.
I was accused last week of being crazy. Really? Yeah, because of my experiences. I love this stuff. I do. I am bold. I'm the type that falls out of that frying pan and right into the fire. And I'm bold enough to say, yeah, we're not alone. And guess what? I can communicate. And guess what? I don't care if you believe me or not. Oh, you're crazy. You don't come around my home. You don't. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm like this about it. Well, that's your opinion. And I will respect that. And I won't ever talk around you again. but you definitely are placed on that back list for me knowing not to go near you. You're the negativity of that.
Yeah.
I got to refrain from being there because it lowers things for me. It's like it closes that veil again. It's like
Yeah.
it thickens it up. I can't explain it any other way. But yeah, I do know.
I want to pick up on that.
Go ahead.
I want to pick up on that. Sorry for interrupting, and
No.
go into that a little bit more, because I know who you are as a person. I've met you in person. We've hung out. We've spent nearly a year in meetings, and you are the kindest, most caring, loving, generous, wise person that I know.
Thank you.
And the fact that because of your activities where you are lovingly reaching out to other beings around the universe in a way that they don't understand, they've judged you to be somehow the opposite of who you are, dark or evil. I mean, I don't want to put words into their mouths.
That was a word that was used. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
And
you warned me.
Yeah.
You did. You warned me.
There are people out there who feel like I'm evil, even though the only thing they've ever seen me do is, and there are thousands of hours of me spreading light, love, and happiness and peace. That's all I do. And yet, that's, this is what people do. I'm going to continue because this is all on the same list of misjudgments. People have sacrificed people and animals to make gods happy in the past. They've judged that to be what the gods want. They've judged that the weather is caused by the emotional state of gods. And now people out there are judging the weather as being caused by their at least liked political parties. And it's just, so I've written this little paragraph. Unfortunately, proving things isn't something that our species has a very strong natural appreciation for. Proving things also isn't something that we have a very strong natural talent for. If we did, we wouldn't have spent hundreds of thousands of years nurturing incorrect beliefs about almost everything in the universe that isn't directly obvious to us. From the motion of planets to the causes of disease, from the shape of the earth to the causes of the weather. Most humans who are alive today see nothing wrong with accepting things as being true without proof. In fact, throughout today's modern human societies, having faith in beliefs is widely encouraged and celebrated. It's a widely unseen hindrance to the seeking of truths, to the gaining of knowledge, and the implementation of wisdom that we live in a world in which most human beings haven't acquired or maintained a true understanding of how to intellectually prove anything. And we've got that word prove, and we can talk about proving things, and people out there can say, oh yeah, I'm good at proving things. But most people really misuse the word.
Yeah.
They use the word prove in a way like, I've convinced myself.
That's the big difference between convincing yourself and proof, okay?
Yeah.
Big difference, guys.
Yeah. So, Laura, based on everything I'm saying here, based on everything we're talking about, what do you think is a way forwards? What do you think is the right thing to do? Do we need to make any changes at all in our own judgments or in our legal system?
All of the above, but to start with yourself. If you find yourself in it, we're human, okay? You're going to maybe driving or you're walking in the store and somebody walks by you and is dressed totally different. May have a full beard and mustache, long hair, and blue eyeshadow on with a skirt, but talks with a manly voice. You're casting, and right there you stop dead in your tracks and you're looking at him. Immediately you're casting a judgment. Practice not doing that. You don't know that person. You don't know. Maybe they're going to a party, or maybe they are and love dressing like that. Accept them. Walk by and go, hey, oh, it's just like the duck down the street, the duck that's at the pond. There's one duck that's black. There's another one that's got a green head, and another one's got, oh, he's so ugly. He's got massive, look like orange warts all over him. Do we judge them? Practice that. Go through a store or anywhere. That's the start, to practice not. As soon as the thought comes in, say to yourself, wait a second, I'm judging. Let's stop. Let me stop this. Let me just either move on, rethink of something else, or ask myself a couple of questions is, maybe they going to a party. If I'm just sticking with this person that we see in the store. Maybe they're doing, maybe they are that way. Okay, that's great. Move on. Find the positive in it. Don't find the negative. Once the person finds that negative, they feed off of it. It's like it grows in mass in their heart and their soul, and it just gets thick and black, and it's disgusting. And they want everybody in on it. Everybody in. Let's hammer this person down. Why? Don't. And then when it comes to our system, we're voting. We're the ones really in control, guys. We have that right to stand up and change the things that are going on. And I couldn't tell you where to begin, but I can tell you, you begin with the smallest things. That's how I start. And it becomes just a big ball, rolling ball, a domino effect when you start small. Like peace on earth, learning to just walk outside. I don't know, some people here are watching, I got neighbors. Have they ever acknowledged their neighbors by just lifting your head up and, or if they walk by, or you're driving and they're walking, have you ever gone to them and they go back? Or if they wave at you, do you go like that? It happens to me, but those are small things, guys, but those things make grand changes. And I have to be animate. That's who I am. I like to be animated, but they make grand changes throughout the planet. It takes everybody to do the smallest things to change everything to a better place. Yeah. That's my answer to that.
That's a very, very good answer. A lot of wisdom in there. And one of the sentences that you said at least sounds almost exactly like one of the sentences I've written down here. Before we judge anyone, we need to stop. We need to think. And I add, we need to understand that we're not naturally good at correctly judging others. Correct judgments rely on correct evidence, as I've said already. But people lie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just like everybody's good and maybe one or two people out of 1,000 people are dishonest. It's like, no, it's like huge. I don't know the proportions, but I would say most people, when it comes to it, if it's going to benefit them or disadvantage others whom they don't like, a lot of people are very comfortable lying.
That saying, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Well, a lot of people don't even bother with that saying anymore, it seems like. Sad. Yeah,
absolutely. So correct judgments rely on correct evidence, but people lie. Correct judgments rely on complete evidence. But that is not always available. People don't naturally get or collect. I was playing with something.
Okay. I was going to say something's flying. No more drops or anything like that.
That wasn't paranormal. That was just something in my hand that sprung out of my hand and across the screen. People don't often look ahead and think, oh, I need to be taking evidence right now. I might need this in the future. And so you don't always have complete evidence, and that needs to be understood. And a lot of people, when they make judgments based on the first person's evidence they hear. And then they're like, oh, I don't need to hear anything else. That's it.
Yeah.
The idea that there's two sides to every story is lost on a lot of people.
Yes.
Most people.
Yes.
And it's like, well, yeah, you might have one or two people over there saying one thing, but why are they saying that?
Yeah.
Why don't they like that person that they're saying nasty things about? Why? Because everybody has motivations, and you just might not understand that the other side of the story is going to completely change your mind.
If you give them the chance to hear it.
If you give them a chance to hear it.
Yes.
People usually don't.
Yeah. It's almost like playground, like in kids.
Yeah.
Like elementary. You know how the kids would get together and bully one child? That one child that wants to bully the other tells all these other kids, yeah, they're horrible. And those kids just follow it. The adults are doing it. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Another point here I'd like to make: correct judgment relies on being inside the head of both the accused and the accuser. You don't know why. Let's say you're walking down the street and you see some guy with a beer bottle. He looks a little bit tipsy, and he smashes that bottle into a house window and smashes the window. You don't know what's in his head. You might automatically assume he's just some drunk person out there who's doing something violent, but maybe he's seen that there's a fire inside. Maybe he's trying to save somebody. Maybe his friend has said, hey, maybe he's locked out of his own house. I mean, who knows if he's drunk? You just don't know. You need to be inside the head of a person, even somebody who has committed a crime. Why did you steal that bottle of water from the store? Well, it's because my younger sister, we're homeless, and she literally was dying. Okay, there may be other elements to the story that you're not aware of, and as I said, you don't know why somebody is making an accusation. Without being inside their head, you have not lived the life of anybody else. You've never been inside the head of anybody sufficiently long enough time to be able to make judgment about others. So here's my piece of advice. In the two stages of judgment, judging people inside your head, you've got to do it. It happens. That's fine. But then acting upon it.
Yes.
Acting upon your judgments. Stop. Just don't do that. Don't do that. The only time when I think it's okay to do that is if you are if you're directly acting to stop somebody, including yourself, from being hurt.
Yeah.
Directly in the moment. Yeah. Like you can see somebody's coming at you and they're just about to swing that metal bar at your head. You do something to stop that, or you see somebody doing that to somebody else. Then intervene. But all of this judging of others on social media is so dark, so dark. When I go onto into any of my social media and I see at least 50% of my posts from my Facebook friends are attacking or criticizing or judging others, and that sort of post that has impact. People are human, and people are not good at judging, and they will jump on board, and it will be a mob mentality.
Yeah.
we have about a minute and a half left, Laura. Do you want to add anything to what I've said before we say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, sure. Let's go on the side of the good judgment. Good judgment. Just like you see something about to take place, you have to make a judgment call in that moment. Something could be blowing in the wind, and there's a fire pit, but what's blowing can catch fire and cause a domino effect. You're judging right now, right then and there, whether to get up, quickly grab whatever that is that's blowing towards that fire and move it over. Or a child's getting too close to a fire, you get up real quick, your judgment, you move the child. Good judgment is judgment, both negatively and positively can be done, is what I'm getting at. And then on the negative side, stop. Stop. You're thinking, stop it right then and there. You're human, you're going to do it, but control it, change it, process it differently. Think about the other side of the fence. You don't know what that person's going through. You don't have the other side of the story. Don't judge. Just slow your roll, rethink the process. And the best bet is don't engage if you don't have both sides of the story. Don't engage in any interaction in it, because basically you're casting judgment. You're convicting, you're trialing, you're convicting and casting judgment. If you could put them in jail, you'd put them in jail. And that's not how we need to be doing things on our planet. Absolutely.
Innocent until proven guilty is the way we should be acting, but it's not. It is not. Right. So if I go back to our opening sort of question, where if aliens were to come in and see humans fighting each other, 32 wars, running around trying to hurt each other in person and online, hurt, attack, revenge, justice, and their message to us, and they've given us this message, put peace above everything.
Yeah.
And that means just stop. Don't contribute to any negativity. Just stop and only put positive into this world, because humanity, our actions do not look good right now. No. And if we are contributing any darkness to the world at all, even at people who we think deserve it, well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
Laura, I would like to thank you so much for being on this show today. Your wisdom and your light are so wonderful.
Oh,
I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody out there, for listening and watching. And I wish all of you peace, love, and happiness. Thank you. Goodbye.
Much love. Bye.